David.
How are we today?
I'm alright, actually. Today's been alright.
I see you had a haircut.
Yes, I got a haircut. It was done this morning. The lady that did it, and I said, I like it nice and short. Just make sure you don't show off the 666 on the scalp. Not a good look, so that was it. Yeah.
Anyway, usual jokes. When's the rest of it getting done? When's it getting finished?
3 years.
When's it getting finished? Did you get a nappy with that? Fuck's sake, man, who hit you and I'll come and get them.
Oh dear.
Ah dear. That's sort of usual stuff you get when you get a haircut, isn't it?
Well, yeah.
You know, or a woman tell you it looks nice, and or the guys tell you somebody's made an arse of it. You know.
Thing is, though, I've known you since 2012. Your hair colour was darker when I first knew you. You're starting to get a lot of the grey. I'm getting it sides, but you're getting a lot of it coming in. Was your original hair colour brown or blonde?
I was blonde, then it sort of went sandy coloured.
Right.
And this is it getting awfully light as the grey comes through.
Yeah.
It's more salt and pepper now than what it is anything else, you know.
Hey, there are certain places that go, oh, it's fantastic.
Well, you know, we all know your hair colour comes out of blow.
It does hell. One time I thought, for the eyebrows, I thought I'll get the Just for Men, right? So I gave it a try, and I ended up with 2 big eyebrows. It's always
I'm needing a haircut and a beard trim myself right now. Right, anyway, let's go on with the Two Davies on the 25th of the 11th, 2024. And breaking news today, the Finance Minister, Shona Robertson, has learned and then warned that the $300 million on offer from Westminster won't cover the hike to employers' national insurance. The Finance Secretary says direct employees for the Scottish Government alone requires $500 million to cover the hike to employers' national insurance. And if you take indirect employees, that would be those in GP surgeries, colleges, childcare, social care.
Yeah.
That takes a bill up to $750 million. Yep. So
the problem is that the Scottish Government are going to cover that, right? What about the private sector?
Aye, that's their problem.
Yeah, you're saying that's their problem, but that's our problem as well. That's everybody's problem.
Oh, of course it is. Aye.
Yeah, because prices go up, everything goes up as relation to that. That obviously starts to hit the inflation figures worse than they are now.
Aye, but the interesting thing about it is, because of our better social contract, Shona tells us that actually what they're doing is eroding our better social contract by austerity via the back door, because she now has to find another 450 million quid for somewhere.
Yeah.
Which means cuts.
Yeah.
Eroding of public services.
We were discussing this morning about the amount of money that we pay down the road to what comes up the road, right?
Aye.
I know it's on another part of another segment of the show, but I mean, the fact is, the shortfall to Scotland now is ridiculous. It really is.
But we'll get to that, as I say, when we talk about the budget.
Yep.
But at this point in time, so much for Labour's promise to Anna Sarwar again that the Treasury would compensate the Scottish Government for this.
Again, It's the old thing. The simplest thing is we keep our own bloody money, and then that's it, sorted, right? And the way around that is, I'm going to say it, independence, independence, independence.
You get a chance to say the next one, I know, David, so you're going to love it. Everybody get your bingo cards out. Let's tick off every time he says it. Yeah.
What I want is, I want everybody that's on here watching this to actually go out to everybody they know and say, what we need is independence, 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 and keep on doing it. And hopefully we'll do a mixing wave throughout the entire group of everybody in Scotland. How's about that?
Anyway, it's interesting her take on it. What they're actually doing is they're going to erode our social contract by eroding the budget even further.
Yeah.
And they're going to do it indirectly and do it the usual way that will keep fucking idiots, unionists, believing that we're better off in the union. They're going to give them a wee bit and tell them, find the rest yourself.
Yeah.
Raise taxes, that's what you do.
Aye.
That's what we're being told by Westminster.
Yeah.
Right, for some reason, the comedy gold on the Scottish politics show yesterday. This is the Sunday show. Because for some reason, Wee Willie Rennie Mark II, Mr. Irrelevant Mark II, stuffed shut Alex Cole-Hamilton, is given airtime to talk about his take on the Scottish budget. It was bordering on fucking hilarious. You know? So it was. Anyway, we're talking about a budget. You know, Lib Dems are open to negotiation under one circumstance. And that is that there's no spend on independence in the budget. No money to be spent on the Constitution in the budget. And so he was asked if they would abstain. He said, no, we would vote that budget down if there's any money to be spent on constitutional issue. And I thought, what are they giving this guy airtime for? The constitutional issue's not on the table. John Swinney has already told us what his priority for government is to the end of this parliament. And independence wasn't in his priorities. I've got the list here, it's not a big list. You know, John's priorities, what do you get this one? End child poverty.
Can't do it.
Austerity's coming from somewhere else. There's only one way to do that, and that's... Go on then.
Independence.
Correct. Growing the economy. As John doesn't have any economic levers, we'll talk about that we'll get the budget a bit more and all, but growing the economy. John has no economic levers. The economy is fucking reserved.
Yeah. So therefore, we need independence. Right?
How's that bingo gone, guys? And a transition to net zero, which you can't do without growing the economy, which you can't do without
independence.
Lovely. So we will let any Mark II, the stuff shut Alex Cole-Hamilton, has got nothing to worry about.
But the problem is that we've got another stuff shirt, nice guy, but his stuff shirt is John Swinney leading the SNP at the moment, and no plan for attacking the UK government with independence. Not going to happen.
Well, that's true, by the way, Phil. Energy is reserved tea.
Yeah.
And apparently there's urgent questions coming in the Commons on today on the ICC's issuing of arrest warrants which we will get to a wee bit later in the programme, David.
Yeah.
Because it was quite interesting as we watched this stuff unfold over the weekend. Now, this next bit's quite interesting, no, David? This programme's running. We need to slow this down, we're going too fast. But this one really fucking flabbergasted me. The polls are out, and apparently the SNP are no gaining anything.
Yeah.
Labour are plummeting in the polls, the Tories are shedding votes and all. But guess who's on the rise here in Scotland?
I'm not
That's
even
your
going
cue to
to
guess.
No. I'm not even going to say it. I can't say the name of that party.
That's a bit daft, is it no? Reform UK.
Ugh.
It would appear reform are becoming an issue here in Scotland.
Yeah.
But we know that when the last exodus from Labour, most of them went to the SNP. A lot of them have drifted away again. But most of them went to the SNP. But they were the clever people. And then and the rest. And it would appear now the rest are the deserting Labour and all. But they're not going to a traditional party. They're going to Nigel Farage's company.
Yeah. Oh, we'll try this time. See if they're any better.
No.
What a stupid mindset.
I really don't understand it.
Oh, definitely not going to get independence via reform, are we?
No, but I mean, I'm not talking about independence voters in particular. Some of these people will be independent supporters.
Yeah.
But I'm not talking about them in particular. I'm just talking about the fact that there is a swing to the right here in Scotland and people are buying Farage's nonsense.
Yeah.
I mean, did they buy the Tory nonsense? They're not buying Labour's nonsense. Because this particular incarnation down that road there, they're Tories on stilts.
Well, reform, if you look at reform and the basis of it, right, they are fascists, right? And if to the stupid person, fascists are, at the beginning are quite fascinating. They really are, what they offer. Farage, when he talks in the bar, drinking a pint and all the rest of it, I can imagine to a stupid man, he is fascinating, right? But then what happens is they become against anybody with a brain. Anybody with a brain.
Apparently reform are becoming a problem in Wales as well, so it's becoming a UK phenomenon because they're already a problem in England.
Let me give you this straight. If you consider yourself an intelligent person and you've got half a thinking of putting your vote towards reform, you are not. You most definitely are not. If you're Scottish.
Nathan, according to Gordon Ross, independence is 62%. If you believe an online newspaper poll, the proper polling says we're at 52% for yes.
It's an outlier. It's an outlier at the moment. The problem that Gordon has got is that he's got nobody to bounce off of. He just has to take things as they come. And I wish Gordon would get himself an opposite number that he could work against. Yeah.
Work
against. You can imagine that David and I, we have some things that we agree on, some things that we disagree on at times, right? But we come to some kind of sensible position at the end of that, right? Gordon needs that. Gordon does need that.
Aye.
Anyway.
Well, see, we understand that there's widespread disappointment with the mainstream parties right across here, right across these islands.
Yeah.
But reform, I suppose they are the only thing out there for these people to go to.
But
here in Scotland, they have alternatives for Labour and Tory. They have the SNP.
No, but at the moment, because of how the SNP is, there's a power vacuum. Anytime there's a power vacuum, then these stupid parties get in.
Aye, that's true.
So
I remember Solidarity getting a run at the Scottish Parliament because of power vacuum within Labour.
that's right. That's right. Yeah. Now, the best way around this, change the head of SNP, getting somebody decent like Flynn or whatever, right?
So coming in.
Yeah, all right. Well, we'll see. All
Well,
right.
is going to cough up with $12,500 for a by-election, and there's no guarantee he would win the hustings against Audrey. So I'm not sure that Stephen will run.
Said Stephen Flynn or somebody like him, right? To actually take the SNP and put it back where it was. At that moment, you close off the power vacuum, you shut out reform, and people come back in their droves. Simple as that.
The other thing is what is pointed out by Evelyn here, the mainstream media spreading shite across the table doesn't help.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But see, if the polling's correct, we're about 18 months, 16 months away from the election.
Yeah.
May 2026.
Yeah.
So we are a wee bit away. But if that keeps going at that rate, then we might have another Solidarity in the Scottish Parliament for a term or two. You know? But these are just portraying themselves as conservatives, really, this mob. But they're fucking far right. They're even right of Starmer, and that's saying something.
Well, fascists. They are fascists. They are really. They are. You could call Labour now fascist, right? But Reform are way, way down that road.
Oh, aye.
You know.
But it's fucking baffling. We've always been a left of centre society.
I think the way society is going at the moment is that people don't know what to do. That's the power vacuum.
Aye.
That's the time when people go, I don't know who to vote for because they're as bad as each other, right?
Aye.
You've got to change that. You need to change that. You've already
apparently Twitter's also full of SNP haters. I don't know. I don't use Twitter.
It's all on Twitter or whatever they're called this week. There always been a heavy attack against anybody that supports SNP.
Yeah, I was going to put out what Molly had to say there, but I've lost that. Oh,
yeah, the one that Phil has put up. Can you get that up, David? See it?
Aye. Yeah, snap election.
Get it up. See if you can find it again.
Well, I wanted to address a nearly 2 million signed petition to get a snap GE after 3 months of Labour. Won't come to anything like won't come to anything.
We know it won't come to anything, but it's the biggest petition since 2010.
And Molly was given it. Don't forget the Alpha Party. The Alpha Party's not going anywhere. They're getting out the door in 2026.
Well, we'll see.
Tell you what, we're 14 months out, 15 months out, 16, whatever it is. I'll lay a bet right now they don't. I'll lay a bet right now they lose their one seat.
Well,
I'll lay that bet right now. And I've explained this. It has to do with the silly name of the party and their daft attempt at marketing it. Putting fucking posters up everywhere saying, vote Alpha for independence. So vote Scotland for independence. In Scotland, vote Scotland for independence means vote fucking SNP. The Upper Party's marketing has been shite.
Yeah.
They haven't even broke into the consciousness of the public. They haven't polled. Because when you're driving about and you see one of these signs, it doesn't register that it's about a political party. You think it says Vote Scotland for Independence, and Vote Scotland for Independence, that was a three-line a slogan for the SNP. You know? So the Alpha Party don't even figure in the public's conscious. It's never broke through. You know? No, but was that a Commons petition? With that 2 million people signed? I doubt it. You know? Aye, but is it a Commons petition with Pet? Because apparently this petition's numbers are spinning like the national debt clock. That is hilarious. Yeah, brilliant. Absolutely radio rento that. I'd just like to know who's doing the petition. I'd like to know if it's an actual Commons petition, because that would be a bloody record.
Yeah, no, it isn't. But of all the petitions that have been run so far, it's the biggest since 2010.
Thanks, Geordie.
Thanks, Geordie. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Brilliant. I like that idea that it's spinning like the national debt clock. That one always cracks me up when you put it up. That one makes your eyes boggle.
The fact of the matter is that Labour, the reason for this petition is Labour have broken practically all of the promises made during the election.
Listen, the headlines today, they're coming to whack the disabled benefits and chase people who are no fit to work into activities of work that isn't, or chase them into work. But since Labour came to power, an extra 300,000 people have joined the brew.
Yeah.
And we knew 250,000 of them were going to be there anyway, because the Bank of England predicted this last year. We spoke about it. Well, the chief economist at the Bank of England said by the summer there'd be an additional 250,000 people on the brew.
It's what's his face. So the comedian said about the people that are disabled they're coming for. He said like Milligan. It's like you might not be able to do very much, but I bet you there's a farm needs a good fucking scarecrow somewhere.
Man.
Ridiculous, honestly.
But it's scary. Absolutely scary. Right, let's move on, David. Retail sales fell in October here in Scotland, and no doubt elsewhere in the UK. In fact, I know elsewhere in the UK, UK-wide figure is 7% for the month of October. Retail 0.7% for the month of October. Here in the UK, and it's a bit higher here in Scotland because people are tightening their belts because of the continuing cost of living crisis, but it affects people here more because their energy bills are higher.
Yeah.
And energy bills have just went up by 10%. They're due to go up another 1% apparently in January. This cap isn't working very well, is it? The fucking prices keep rising.
The cap means nothing. The cap means nothing.
Well, but the term means to put a stop to something at a level. You cap it.
No, that doesn't mean that it's a maximum you pay. It doesn't.
I know that, David, but what I'm saying is the term cap.
Yeah, I know.
There's a rank name for it.
Yeah.
Anyway, retail sales have been hit really hard this year.
Yeah.
They're doing, right, across the year, about 4.3%. The retail sector's taking a fucking doing. And it's automated. You know, it is automated, and it's because this economy is failing.
Yes.
Because the government doesn't have a grip.
And what's the answer? I'm not going to say it. I'm hoping everybody's blown mouth under their blooming breath at the moment. What's the answer, guys? The answer is, you know.
Stephen, that debate started in the Commons and who has it? Sorry, mate, can't stop the programme for it. And I'm not putting it off.
Yeah.
You know, I'll watch it back. Or I'll watch some of it. I'll listen to some of it when I go to my work.
Yeah.
Now, the problem with the retail sales thing and people tightening their belt, they're not tightening their belt. They just don't have any disposable income.
Yeah. Right.
And of course, with this being a market economy, David, I don't know many times, this is like around a fucking circle, isn't it? We're always coming back to the same issues, week in, week out, but for different reasons.
Yeah.
It is getting ridiculous. But of course, a shrinking retail sector tells you you've got to shrink the economy. And everybody keeps talking about this watchword, growth.
No, there comes, right, in society will put, a society like ours will put up with all the shit that's going for months and even years, right? Until eventually it becomes too painful. It comes to the point when, in a typical nuclear family, father, mother, a couple of kids, right, grown-up kids, right? Dad's lost his job. Mom's lost her job, right? The kids have had to sort of grow up on a shoestring budget, right? Then the kids are trying to get, they cannot get work, they cannot get in anywhere, right? They can maybe get an 8-hour contract in Greg's, or they can get this and get that, right? And it means at the end of the day that people start to really, really, really hurt. At that moment, that's when society will kick back hard. We're already there. We're already there.
We've been three cycles of this in my fucking lifetime.
Yeah, that's right.
We're going to get near breaking point, David.
Yeah. Well,
because people really are on their arses.
Yeah. So what happens? People start to look around and think, "Oh, I'll give reform a go."
Aye.
They do
it takes us right back to that political void again, doesn't it?
Right. Let's go back the way and go, right, SNP, get your fucking asses in gear. Right? And let's have a blooming decent campaign instead of this nonsense put together by blooming John fucking Swinney. Waste of time. Honestly. Right? Enough said. That's my rant over.
Aye. But as I say, a failing retail sector, it's just another symptom of a failing economy.
Yeah.
And you and I have been through this.
The retail sector is already on a sugary peg because of internet sales. Aye. Internet sales on retail, unless a retail establishment have already got a strong hold within the web, then they're going to die. They're dying of their arse. They really are. Do you remember Tom Collier? Tom Collier, the window to what that used to be Gentlemen's Outfitters. Now I hear them. Buttons. Is there a Buttons anymore? No. No, gone as far as I'm concerned. Right? Littlewoods, that's a different one. Littlewoods have actually got a very, very strong
catalogue.
Catalogue, yeah.
The catalogue on for years.
Yeah, because they had the catalogue, they went onto the web and all migrate on the web rather easily, right?
Aye.
So, and they have an offshoot called Very that does all their like big tellies and things like that. They do them at a good price and all the rest of it, right? So those companies will do well. The dinosaurs have gone.
Aye.
Gone.
No, that's true. But even they're feeling the pinch as
Yeah.
people don't spend.
Oh, no, appreciate that. I mean, even with Amazon, Amazon used to have a Black Friday. Black Friday.
Aye.
Now they're having a Black Week.
Aye.
Hoping to attract people in for sales, right? That's just the way it goes. They're all having to push harder to get that extra penny out of you.
Aye. Now, David, let's move on. The budget, 4th of December. That's when it's coming, and it's becoming more and more the headline story here in Scotland.
So, come on, you've done the homework. Tell us what's in it.
Well, what is the budget and what's it all about? Well, the budget is where the Finance Secretary, Shona Robertson, gets to tell us where she's going to spend Scotland's block grant. All right. Now, remember, there's a part of spending here in Scotland which is reserved. That's pensions, unemployment benefit, some of the sickness benefits, that sort of thing. Okay, but the budget gives the government an opportunity to set out the tax spend plans for the next financial year, which runs from April 1st, 2025 until 31st of March 2026, so just before the election.
Yeah.
This includes raising the loan of income tax, as well as decisions about spending on areas controlled by the Scottish Parliament, such as health, education, policing, ambulance, fire, childcare, colleges. That's a huge area. And the taxpayer, of course, is just really income tax. We did get some other taxes back, like 11% of VAT and things like that, but we're supposed to get it back. Now, what's interesting is about the Scottish budget and how it's spent is that over the last couple of years, the Scottish budget should have been 47.3 billion, but over the last 2 years, the Scottish Government has only actually received 60 billion.
That's 30 billion per year.
So
just to make it clear to the viewers, right?
So 13 billion a year, which has been earmarked for the Scottish Government through the Barnett formula and the Barnett consequentials, it has not arrived.
Yeah.
Over the last 2 years. So that's what 33 billion quid that hasn't arrived, which should have arrived.
Basically, people like Shona will pick up the phone and go, "Where's this money?
That's right.
Where's the back? Oh, we'll get that sometime. But we need it now. No, sorry, but too much else on."
Aye.
You
know, that's what's happening.
Effectively, it's absolute bloody nonsense.
Now, as we know, David, there are also spending in Scotland on reserved matters, which is also attributed to the Scottish budget, which means that they're telling us that each year they're giving the Scottish Government 60 billion quid. But as the BBC, where I'm reading this, where I got this information from, and their breakdown, over the last 2 years, the Scottish Government's been 33 billion quid short in what they should have had.
Yeah.
And yet they've still managed to pay the bills. They've still managed to deliver better.
Well, how? Really?
I guess she's sending the bills to. I guess she's sending the bills to the Treasury, and they're writing the public services and IOU.
Yeah, must be.
I don't know how. I guess they're bypassing Holyrood and paying some of the bills themselves because things are still working.
Yeah,
and they're working more efficiently here and cheaper here than what they are elsewhere.
Yeah. I mean, this is a little point that we were chatting about before coming on the air, right? The amount of money that's sent down that road, right?
See, Brexit.
Yeah.
pre-Brexit figures were about up by to the public sector. The figures were up there at about 119 to 132 billion. Now it's anywhere between 88 and 96 billion.
Yeah.
But that's
a public figure, right?
That's a public figure.
On top of that, you've got to add on the private side, the private sector, right?
Private sector.
Which won't be massive, but it'll still add a chunk.
Oh, it is massive, David, because you got to remember tax revenues from alcohol are no reserve, are no attributed to Scotland, and tax revenues for North Sea oil and gas is not attributed to Scotland.
Right.
So if you threw all that in tap, you're looking at about 168 billion of a turnover a year. You know what I mean?
So when you add the two together, what are you looking at?
No, that is the total. If you add even the taxes are not attributed to Scotland, with the 40 billion for oil and gas, and the 5 billion that they say they get in whisky revenue alone. That's just whisky. Never mind the other alcohols that are produced here in Scotland, right?
Yeah.
So if you add that in and start with the peak public sector, we're looking at 168 of a GDP. That is massive, you know. But when you look at it, Scotland has had 60 billion over 2 years. Out sending 200 billion down that road.
Aye, easy. So at the end of the day, it's like this is from both David and I. People of Scotland, what are you doing? Giving your next door neighbour all that money to get a couple of coppers back. It's ridiculous.
No,
everybody says to me, oh, Scotland can't become independent. We're too poor to become independent. What a load of fucking shite. Excuse the French.
David, Evelyn, I'll just give a couple of examples. I mean, VAT and tobacco and things like that, there's lots of them that are lots of taxes. Day taxes, there is a bit in the JERS that estimates the taxes for Scotland. You know, we're talking about the ones that are not attributed at all to Scotland.
That's right.
But you see, what the budget is, it's where the Scottish Government gets to decide where it's going to spend its pocket money on public services and on infrastructure.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's just in case anybody was wondering what it was. Because you're going to hear a lot of nonsense, and you're going to hear unionists screaming about the SNP no spending in reserved areas. Because that's what they always do. They always conflate what's reserved and what's no. But the SNP don't help themselves either, because, you know, John Swinney talking about economic growth when he doesn't have any economic levers. He can go and plead with other international partners to come and invest in Scotland, and that's worked pretty well in the last 25 years. But when the rest of the world's feeling the pinch and all, you know, you need your hands on the economic levers in order to be able to attract. The other thing the Scottish Government has been doing is they have been using the population as a means of growth, whereas England have actually gone the other direction. So we have kept free education. We have increased the amount of skills academies and things like that, and engineering school of excellence that's opened up in Shannon and things like that. We've increased training programs for kids. We have tried to make the population as healthy as possible and as happy as possible, because what you want for a good economy is a well-educated, healthy population that are going to be able to go to work, and a happy population because when they're at work, you know, they're content to be there.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of factors in producing that population, like the fact that we feed kids in school and things like that.
Yeah.
You know the different health drives we've had, like the 5 a day, and reintroducing water fountain fill-ups. There's no fountains anymore. You don't drink out them. You fill up water bottles out of them. You know. But all these things, putting in walking, walking routes right across Scotland. For example, there's now a walking route from Glasgow to Edinburgh.
Yeah. and also the other way as well. Beautiful, beautiful walking route right away along the Clyde, going right down as far as you can go. So beautiful.
The Scottish Government have done their bit and what they can do to attract outside investment, because economic growth isn't the main things when it comes to investing in a place. The main issues, like things like corporation taxes and things like that, they're not decided elsewhere. So that means we've got to give them something else that they want to bring them here. And as I say, that is a well-educated population that speak English, who are reasonably healthy and reasonably happy at this point in time. But that's going downhill fast. As devolution is attacked and things get levelled up, then I'm afraid we are heading in the same direction as England.
Well,
and it was shown us.
Whoever thought that term levelling up, you think about it, and actually fact, levelling up meant that anybody who was doing really well was going to come down the way, and anybody who was doing really badly might come up a little bit, right? And we were doing incredibly well, and we are going to get attacked to the point that our economy is going to go down and down and down and down, right?
Well, that started just after the vote in 2014 when it was dumped on David.
That's right.
Then they started attacking the economy, and they haven't stopped. That's why Grangemouth isn't being rescued.
Yeah.
They are laying waste to Scotland, and no doubt they've been working out a way to be able to steal the oil and gas fields when we kick them out.
Yeah.
But as I say, that's what the budget is, folks, and it's on the 4th of December, Wednesday the 4th of December. But the main impacts on most of our lives, with cost of living crisis, inflation, all these things, these are all controlled out with Scotland.
Right. At the moment, looking at it, how does someone like me put pressure on our government to get a bloody move on?
You're a keyboard warrior, go on with it.
Keyboard warrior doesn't do it. It needs actually affirmative action for these things to take place. There's only three walks next year in Scotland, right? So, as far as I can see, it's like even that is going downhill.
Aye. Right, we have to move on.
Right.
Yvette Cooper on whether Netanyahu would be arrested here. Did you see it?
Oh, yes. Now, I understand that the ICC debate is taking place in the Commons right now. Is that right?
Aye.
Yeah.
Apparently. I'll watch it back later.
Yeah. But Yvette Cooper had this to say. Put it on, David. Let's all listen to her.
Hey, okay. I didn't plan on playing it. Right, let me get it back.
Yvette Cooper. A very good morning to you, Yvette Cooper. I'm going to talk to you in a moment about your announcement about your measures on antisocial behaviour today. But first, I wondered if I could get your reaction to that story we've just been running, that the International Criminal Court has issued an arrest warrant for the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, amongst others. The UK is a signatory of the International Criminal Court. So I just wanted to ask if you can confirm that he would be arrested if he came to the UK.
Well, that's not a matter for me as Home Secretary. The International Criminal Court is, of course, independent, and we respect its independence and the role that it has to play. But in the overwhelming majority of International Criminal Court investigations, they never become a matter for either the British legal and law enforcement processes or for the British government. In any case where they ever do, there are proper processes that need to be followed, and therefore it wouldn't be appropriate for me to comment on those. What I can say is that obviously the UK government's position remains that we believe the focus should be on getting a ceasefire in Gaza. We have seen obviously the huge troubles really right across the Middle East ever since the Hamas terrorist attack in October 7th last year, and our focus needs to continue to be on getting a ceasefire in place.
You say that it's not for you to answer the question about whether or not Benjamin Netanyahu would be arrested if he arrived in the UK, but the UK is a signatory of the International Criminal Court. Don't we have to respect its rulings?
And number two.
As I said, we respect the independence of the International Criminal Court. That has long been our case, and we've always respected the importance of international law. But as I said, in the majority of the cases that they pursue, they don't become part of the British legal process or the British government processes. On those cases where they do, there are important processes that need to be followed, and that's why it wouldn't be appropriate for me as the Home Secretary to comment on individual cases in a speculative way.
OK, so you don't want to say whether or not he would be arrested. The Tories are saying that the move by the ICC is deeply concerning and provocative. They've called on you, the government, to condemn and challenge the ruling. So will you do that?
As I think I said at the beginning, the International Criminal Court is independent. We have respected its independence and we continue to do so. Those are the legal processes that the International Criminal Court has to pursue. For us, for the UK, this is a matter of foreign policy issues where our focus is on seeking the ceasefire across Gaza, where we have seen the terrible devastation over a long period of time that.
Right, we can stop it there because that's all the important stuff being said, David.
Yeah, three times she repeated about the International Criminal Court being independent, blah, blah, blah. The most important thing is the UK are a signatory to the International Criminal Court, right? Which means that the International Criminal Court issue an arrest warrant for someone. When they arrive on that country, on the UK, the police have got fiduciary duty to arrest that person under the arrest warrant that's been issued by the ICC, right? Now, what Cooper is effectively saying is nah, we'll sort of take that under advisement. No, they won't. They would have to change that treaty that they already put in place with the ICC. They would have to change it all. And it's like you're talking about years to change such a thing, right?
Well, I'm more interested in the fact that she didn't say no, she didn't say yes or no. For a start, the police exercised the warrant. She didn't.
Yeah, but besides everything else, Yvette Cooper is Labour. Labour have already got a law within the party that says that anything that is anti-Semitic that you mention can end up where you get banned from the party. She's Home Secretary. She could lose her position if she actually said what she's supposed to say as a human being.
Well, what was interesting about it was, there was also the fact she didn't say yes or no, but she went on to say about process. So let's talk about the process a wee bit. Police arrest him.
Yeah.
File goes to Home Secretary. Home Secretary says, take him to The Hague. Foreign Secretary steps in and says, this is a foreign policy matter.
The ICC is not in The Hague to begin with. Let's just correct you on that, right? Okay.
Aye.
But as far as that's concerned, yes, it would be dropped back at the ICC, right?
Yep.
For them to deal with. Simple as that.
But
The,
you heard
the,
her.
the,
No
the,
just
the,
when she wait a minute, you heard her. No just when she not say yes. She then passed the buck to David Lammy and said this is foreign policy. And
nah,
that was to let people know that Lammy would be the one that would make the final decision on whether it was
no,
on to do it in the
no, he
International
wouldn't.
Criminal Court.
No, he wouldn't. No, he wouldn't, and he couldn't, because it's a police matter. Police are dealt with by the Home Secretary.
Exactly, that's right.
Right. Now, a suggestion was made previously when we were talking was the Home Secretary would be called by the police who had this man, right? And they would say, what do we do? And the Home Secretary says, just back off, let him go. That is an impossible situation as far as I'm concerned.
It would definitely. I'll tell you what, the one thing I will say about these arrest warrants, David, is that this could see the breakdown in the international order as places as some countries refuse to arrest them. I mean, Hungary have already said they wouldn't arrest them, and their signatories.
Yeah.
That could be the first of a domino effect. And Yvette Cooper didn't look as if the UK were going to arrest her.
So what you're saying is that all these countries are going to end up whereby they've got no allegiance to an international court. Is that what it, if the International Court of Justice come out and say that what's been going on in Gaza is genocide by the Israeli government and the Israeli Defense Force, right? Do we just ignore that?
You're asking if I think they're capable of that.
Yeah.
And the answer is yes. They defied the International Court on the Chagos Islands for as long as they could.
Yeah. True. Absolutely.
I mean, the respect of international law. What? Are they having a laugh? Westminster. Respecting international law.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know.
I mean, this is a parliament that told us that we're going to break the Human Rights Act in a very specific way. Or we're going to break
all of these things are constitutional issues.
Well, the previous administration.
Because I believe that our Scottish government would fall the other way, whereby if the agreement is made with like the ICC, and they issue an arrest warrant in Scotland, that arrest warrant would be carried out properly.
Well, it would be because it's part of the UK, or it should be.
No. What I'm saying is, let's say that agreement was Scottish. I believe.
But it's not.
Yeah. I appreciate that. But I'm saying that our government would follow that way because that's a Scottish way of thinking about it. Right?
But I'm always right. He wouldn't come here. He knows that we're against him. He knows that we're against, and he knows the Scottish government stands against what's going on. In fact, the Scottish Parliament stands against what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, but the other thing, let's move on to the funny part of that interview, shall we? But we're not going to. I'm not going to play the rest of the interview. We're just going to have a laugh at it. The new respect orders to be introduced by the Home Secretary. Absolutely fascinating. Asbo Mark II, apparently. And she was asked by the interviewer if it was Asbo Mark II. But it's a wee bit more sinister than that, folks. They can actually put restriction orders on, banning people from entering areas.
No, the term that's used is public spaces. That public space can be outside your front door.
Aye.
Means that you would have to stay at home. Simple as that.
And then you and I thought, well, how would that affect public protest? Because our words were, persistent public nuisances. Well, people who organise protests are very much seen by the government as persistent public nuisances. And they're generally the same people organise them all the time.
Yeah.
But it's like, there's people painting on their town centres and things like that.
If you assume that fascism is a step whereby everybody is controlled in a certain way, right? And any of what they term to be ill-makers, right? Troublemakers are kept silent, right? The easier steps onto fascism, right? Free speech is gone. That's another step onto fascism, right? So you want a complete fascist society, then you've got to agree with people like Reform or Labour.
Well, one thing you're going to have to do is you're going to have to clamp down on any form of public protest against the government. That's the fascist way.
Yeah.
And they have been introducing the laws to do it, David.
Well, I remember all of the it's just when Boris Johnson was on the throne. They had in the foyer, they had all the various news reporters for. I think what they did was they went down. Each one of them went, right. You, right out the door.
Aye, that's right.
That was fascism.
The
moment you start to control what's being said, that's fascism.
Well, anyway, it looks as if there's going to be further restrictions on the English and Welsh people's civil liberties with these new respect orders, or Super ASBO Mark II.
Yeah.
So it's quite comical, isn't it? The people of England are being stamped on really heavily.
Yeah, and they're not reacting. Well, some are reacting.
Aye.
Because I see them. Some are reacting. But it's almost as if they're a little voice in the wind in the dark.
Well, one of them is reacting. You're actually young Reagan White, if he's still there listening. But, there are people down there who are reacting, but it's very slow and it's very concerning because although these bills don't actually apply to Scotland, and, eventually fascism will do away with that place along here, David.
Yeah. Yeah, well.
So I thought I was reading we watched the interview as well, and we watched that bit on these new respect orders, and we throw that in with the restrictions on public protest.
Yeah.
And the word nuisance comes up again.
Yeah. Well, anyway, right. We've got only a couple of minutes remaining. Final thing. There's nothing really much to report on Gaza or Palestine or Lebanon or anything like that at all. Nothing big. It's much the same as what we've been reporting previous weeks, right? But we had an old blast from the past. Angela Merkel raised her head.
I'm going to tell you, David, I'm sorry we don't have time for Trump being pissed off at Starmer and fucking trade wars coming, and we don't have time for Merkel. We're just out of time, mate. It's a shame, really, because the Angela Merkel's angle on what's going on in Ukraine and how she prevented it from starting earlier was absolutely fascinating, David, was it not? But maybe we can cover it at a different time.
Yeah, maybe
we can cover it at a different time, but as you know, I've got to go my bahookie out the door. They're all only work across the road and they don't start till 6. I like to be there at 5:30 to get organised,
Okay. Right. Okay. If you've watched us and liked us, then please hit the like button. If you haven't before, please subscribe to the channel because that does create a wee bit extra advertising revenue that goes into the pot. for the
Good
food
point.
banks, for the rest of it, right? And you are listening to the Two Davies. I'm Davy, and he's Davy. All right, so there you are, the Two Davies.
And apparently, we now both have catchphrases, whereas before it was only me that had a catchphrase. So I'll tell you what, I'll swap you, David. On the way out the door, you can have mine and I'll have yours. So that Davy over there says independence, independence, independence.
And that Davy over there says, eyes on the prize. There you go.
I just leave one thing left to do, David.
All right.
Bye, Davy.
Bye, Davy.
Catch you tomorrow morning, guys, and David will be back on Thursday, where we better start telling them what the plans are for Christmas, I suppose, David.
Aye.
Okay. Right, bye for now, folks.